Welcome to the Movies to Watch Before You Die podcast. I'm your host, Dylan, along with my cousin and co-host,
Gab.
And today, Gab, I bring to you a movie, unlike one we've done before. Well, like some we've done before. I can think of like Harold and Kumar. I can think of like Superbad. I bring you the king of boy humor, which I know you love.
Yeah.
I bring you Jackass #2.
Yeah. Now, Dylan, I want to say up until this movie started, I had never seen any Jackass at all. Not
Really?
not an episode of the television show, not the first movie, nothing. But because it was so ingrained in the cultural zeitgeist, I knew who they were, I knew what they did, I knew what it was going to be about. I had seen some of the clips of some things from the movie, but I had never actually engaged in this content before.
I think that makes it even more exciting because I think I've told you the story. Maybe I've told you the story, but have I mentioned when I first saw this movie?
Not that I can recall.
So I think it's this one. Although I'm trying to think based on the year now, it can't be. It's got to be Jackass 3. Well, I'm going to tell you the story when I saw Jackass 3 then, that I'm mixing up with Jackass #2.
Okay.
Because I remember it was my freshman year of college and my parents came to visit and we went to dinner and we went to see a movie. And out was a new Jackass. And I was like, can we see it? And we went to see it. And I remember me and my dad guffawing, laughing hysterically, our bellies moving with laughter, and looking over at my mom, who was sitting as plain faced as possible, not enjoying a moment of this movie. It was the same experience I had watching Weapons with grandma.
Yeah. But I think it's important for those who don't have the pleasure of knowing your mom that this is not typical behavior for her. She is someone who really appreciates comedy. Like, she is certainly not like a buttoned up, uptight type of person.
No, she loves to laugh. She did, she would call herself raunchy, I'm sure. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And raucous. She does not feel the Jackass humor in general.
Yeah.
I did
Now,
watch this with someone else who I'll tell you more during our opinions. I got varying amounts of response, and I know you watch it with Corey, right?
mhm.
So I'm excited to hear what he thought about it. But before I hear that, Gab, what's Jackass #2 even about?
What's this all been about? What am I working toward?
Explain!
As you would a child.
You think you know everything about me, don't you?
I dive at your bottom. I bloody well ought to.
Well, Dylan, have you ever seen Jackass?
Yes, Gab, I have.
Okay,
What if
so
I hadn't? How would you describe it if I hadn't seen Jackass?
I would say that it's a bunch of grown ass men hurting each other in various ways.
Just physically? Or
I mean, for the most part. Like, let's not make it any deeper than it is.
oh, I will, but not yet. Do you want to hear the IMDb plot summary?
Yeah, kind of actually.
Chris Pontius, Johnny Knoxville, Steve-O, Bam Margera, and the whole crew return to the screen to raise the stakes higher than ever before.
I think I did a better job, quite frankly.
I would love if the plot just said, "You ever see Jackass?" Come on. I do wonder why name those four specifically, especially leading off with Chris Pontius of all people.
Yeah.
Like if you had said like Johnny Knoxville and the whole Jackass crew returned to the screen, I would get that because
Yeah,
he's definitely the face. You know what I mean? And then like Bam Margera and Steve are probably the second biggest guys.
Yeah. Something that I think is really interesting is I had never seen Jackass before. It was not so, I mean, we were of the age where when this movie came out, I was 14, right? What was it, 2006?
Yes, I know Zach and I watched this on MTV late at night. You never came across it?
No,
Like not just the movies. I mean the show, anything?
no. And I think it's not that it's not that I never watched MTV. I think it was just that I just was a 14-year-old girl. I wasn't interested, right? Because
Yeah.
if you think about it, when did Jackass come out on television? When was its inaugural
99?
season?
2000?
I was 8 years old at the most. I wasn't watching Jackass, you know? So it was a very different situation for me as a young lady.
Yeah, that's fair. I definitely think there is a demographic skew. Like there's
Yeah.
definitely a significant gender skew on your enjoyment for Jackass.
Yeah, and you had an older brother, right? Like I didn't
Yes.
have an older son. So anyway, but one thing that I did love, and I don't quite know where it falls on the timeline, I was a huge fan of Viva La Bam.
Oh, wait, that makes sense. Did we watch Viva La Bam together? I feel
Yes.
like I remember that. And that maybe that's why in my head I was like, yeah, you definitely saw Jackass type stuff because they
No.
did very much do Jackass stuff on Viva La Bam. Like
Yes.
it's just a
But this is
separate
what I'll
part of the
say.
total crew.
Totally. Number one, I think that Viva La Bam had a little bit more of like a plot. It was more of like a reality show where they played pranks on each other and like played pranks on the parents specifically. So I know Phil and April and Don Vito, right? But it
Yeah.
wasn't like Jackass where it was just like scenes, you know?
Yeah,
But
Jackass is more skit based or like stunt based, and Viva La Bam is there's going to be stunts, but it's like in this episode I'm buying a Lamborghini, or in this episode I want to pull off this move, but I'm building the skate park in my house.
yes, yeah. There was more like of a act one, act two, act three kind of thing.
Yeah,
But what came first? Because I didn't realize that Bam Margera was on Jackass. Like I was like, holy shit, I know this guy. Obviously, I know Steve-O and Johnny Knoxville and whatever, but I was shocked that Bam was in that universe.
so it's tough to say. What I'll say is Jackass the show comes before Viva La Bam, but the thing that really what you spilled and spittled
I
on
just
yourself.
spilled Diet Coke all over myself. I'm sure this will end up on the internet. Please keep going.
So I'll say I'm pretty sure that Jackass came before Viva La Bam. It did. Viva La Bam starts in 2003. Jackass starts in 2000. But I know that before Viva La Bam became a thing, there were these CKY tapes, which CKY sort of is used for many things, but it's most famously now Bam Margera's brother, Jess Margera's band. So CKY had 3 videos: CKY, CKY2K, and CKY3. I think those technically are even before Jackass started, and those were
Yeah.
really a similar thing and coming out in skate shops and stuff like that. And I think the rest of the Jackass crew is all guys from like Big Brother magazine. That's where all the guys like Knoxville comes from, the director Jeff Tremaine, and the non-Pennsylvania members. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
And I think they just end up seeing like we're kind of doing the same thing. We should link up.
Yeah. Yeah. Corey explained that to me. Yeah. And listen, more power to you. Like, do the damn thing, right? If you're going to do it, do it. But it makes sense, right? But it just didn't occur to me that that's why he was famous. I thought he was just a famous skateboarder because he's also in
That
Tony
is
Hawk
what he
Pro
first
Skater.
was. Yeah. I think Tony
Yeah.
Hawk's Pro Skater made him huge. I think I heard him say somewhere because I've been listening to a bunch of obviously behind the scenes stuff. I think at like 16, he got signed by Element, which was like a skateboard sponsor. He was sponsored by Nike. So he was a big deal, which only brought the tape out further, the CKY tapes, which only, I'm sure he was the biggest name on Jackass when it first starts, probably. And I
Yeah.
think he starts in Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2, I think is the first game that he's in. And
Yeah,
after that,
which-
he was in like every game.
That was my favorite, Tony Hawk Pro Skater. Oh no, I like Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3.
I remember playing Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2, 3, and 4 a lot.
Yeah.
Which is funny because those games don't really have like much of a story. It was just like, I'm gonna do cool tricks here and I'm gonna
Yeah.
do them there.
I'm gonna grind on this rail. Yeah, that was fun. But you could also like make the skateboarder and change their outfit and shit. It was fun. And it had a great soundtrack.
Yes. And you could unlock random, like Wolverine was a skateboarder in the game.
Yeah.
By the time you get to like Tony Hawk Pro Skater Underground, you can unlock guys like Wee Man and Sevo in those games too.
Yeah. So needless to say, even though I had never seen Jackass, I'm very familiar with like the universe and the people and whatever. And I don't know, are there taglines? Like, what are we doing here?
There are taglines. I thought you had forgotten.
No.
When is the last time a movie made you beg for mercy?
I would say the last time a movie made me beg for mercy was Hard Eyes.
I did not expect an actual answer, but you know what? Good on you. Fair. This one I like the best. Guess who just made number 2?
So fucking stupid.
I think it's perfectly fitting.
Okay.
This I assume was for after the movie actually came out. The number 1 movie in America is number 2.
Mm.
In 2002, people were appalled by what they saw. Well, guess what? We just made number 2.
Okay.
Come on.
Yeah.
No, I mean, there's a reason it's not called Jackass 2. They called it Jackass number 2. They knew what they were doing.
They knew what they were doing. I get it.
All right. There's not much of a story to get into, but you can be spoiled if you have not seen it. So if you want to, it's on Paramount Plus as pretty much every Jackass thing except Jackass 4.5 is on Netflix, and I think Viva La Bam is lost to time right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm sure it'll come back at some point on some platform, but I don't think it's available on streaming right now.
So obviously, I'm sure we'll get into this, but like Bam, I know that Ryan Dunn died, and that was really hard on Bam, and he became an alcoholic, but he is sober now.
He is sober now. He is skateboarding again. I think he
Mhm.
had gained a bunch of weight, but he's lost a bunch of weight since. He seems to
Yeah.
be doing better than he had been, which is good.
Do you, so for those who have been listening from the beginning, do you remember when we were talking about Scott, Aunt Dawn's ex-boyfriend, and I was like, he died. And you were like, really? And I was like, yeah, he's dead. And then I talked to my mom, and my mom was like, he's not dead. And I was like, oops, sorry, he's not dead. But then like 2 weeks later, he actually did die.
R.I.P. Scott. Yes, I
R.I.P.
remember
Scott.
that. I don't know how many other people do, but yes.
Yeah. Well, we loved Scott. Scott, R.I.P. Good guy. I think Bam now looks a lot like Scott, how I remember Scott.
I get why you say that.
You see it, right?
And like,
It's got to be
it's
the
mostly about the
alcoholism.
body shape. Yes. It's mostly, he looks like a guy who drinks a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. But you're the only person I could say that to who would be like, ah, yes, Bam Margera and Scott.
We'll now
who's
be putting
dead.
a picture of Scott up. No,
Yeah, with the big RIP.
I'm just going to put a picture of like Homer Simpson. No, I'm not putting a picture of anyone. That's terrible.
No, you should put a picture of Bam.
I will. All right.
Okay.
So should we talk about, are we in opinion time?
I think we can make it official.
In this critic's opinion,
You know, that's just like your opinion, man.
Well, I have a right to my opinion, and my opinion is you have no right to your opinion.
Let's talk about some of the skits. I've got basically just a list of them. Somebody made like a tier list, so I'm using that just so that I have everything.
Okay. Can we really call it a skit? Is that really the word? It's not a skit.
You don't even know which one I've named yet. Some of them are skits, some of them are just stunts. Some of
Okay.
them are pranks. Old man balls with the prosthetic old man balls
Why were they behind him?
because they're dragging. Where would they be? And if they're in front of them, he should be able to see that he's putting his balls on something.
I guess. I don't know. Listen, I'm not an expert on how balls work, especially not on very old men. So to me, it was just a little confusing.
The fart mask.
Didn't care for that. But you know what? It did make me think of you and your stupid fucking friends when you were little.
Why?
I feel like you guys used to all fart in a blanket and then wrap each other in the blanket.
You know what?
That's true, right?
That sounds believable. That might have
That's
happened at
true.
a sleepover or two.
Yeah. Because I remember you and Zach trying to do it to me and being like, hold the fuck on here. No.
That sounds even better, honestly. Everything with Gloria, the old woman makeup.
I don't know. So let's pause and talk about this for a second because I think this is an important thing. When I started to see those skits, and fine, I'll call this one a skit, where somebody is doing something to make other people feel uncomfortable, right? I thought, oh my God, this must be where Impractical Jokers comes from.
I mean, I think Impractical Jokers is more influenced by Candid Camera than anything.
Really? You don't think this?
I'm
Like
sure
a
this is a part of it,
family-friendly
yes.
version of this?
Because I do think there's a big aspect to which, even when they are pranking actual people, it's always more about them than it is about the people. You know what I mean?
Which version? Jackass
Both.
or Impractical Jokers?
And
Yeah.
that's something I think Impractical Jokers took from this.
Yeah. But it was like, I understand this, like, let's do something outrageous and like get people's reactions.
Yeah.
And it felt like, oh, okay, I understand that this is like the origin of that, right? But obviously taking that and expanding upon it. And I love Impractical Jokers. Love that. Not anymore. It's garbage after Joe left. But in the beginning.
I do feel like I wonder if I'm going to get to one or two things that you did like. So I don't want you to spoil. I don't want you to say, no, you're not, but I'm going to keep naming a couple things. Here's one that makes me laugh every single time I see it. And I know that this is not going to make you laugh. Dave England and the tiny toilet. And
where he just shits into the little box.
well, God, when you oversimplify it like that, they frame it in a perfect way, which I know now they filmed this and he couldn't do it at first. And they were like, we'll just scrap this. And he picked up that little diorama set and he was like, no, I'll hold on to this. He was like, I can do this at some point. And Dave England considers himself a professional shitter now because he's shot on screen in 3 Jackass movies. And at some point they were at Johnny Knoxville's house, the Jackass crew, and he was like, I can do it right now. I have the thing. Like, it's, I think what I love is they frame it in such a way that the camera is zoomed in perfectly so that this looks like this is a regular bathroom. I don't think on first watch, I could not immediately tell that this was a diorama. And you see this little turd drop onto the toilet, and then you just see the whole thing come out. And I guess perhaps I'm over romanticizing it because Gab is looking at me like I have 3 fucking heads. But you know what? It makes me laugh every goddamn time.
I feel like I don't want to rain on your parade.
You can't.
But I do feel like I knew it was a diorama from the moment the scene started.
Yeah, the quote that I wrote down after this from the person I watched it with was just, guys are so gross.
I said to Corey, so is this what it's like to be a boy? And he was like, yeah, pretty much.
I do think if I'm going to take off from just talking about things in this for a minute, I will say, as dumb as they are, I think the Jackass crew is such a wholesome example of male friendship and positivity because they clearly all love each other, even though they're all always hurting each other. There's not an ounce of homophobia or prejudice in anything they do. They're fine with being naked in front of each other. They're fine with everything. They are such positively okay with each other and just whatever we can do to make each other laugh. And I do think there is something beautiful about that. And the fact that it's hard to point out now that I realize you haven't really seen any of this. I almost picked Jackass Forever, which I think it would have had no impact on you, which I'm picking that because I think either the Friday before or maybe 2 Fridays after this comes out, the last movie, Jackass Best and Last, will come out.
Oh, but there's another one coming out?
They've called it the final one that they're doing. It's going to have some archival footage, some new footage. They did Jackass Forever just a couple of years ago. And there are 2 skits in Jackass that are tied for my all-time favorites. They have one in Jackass Forever, but I think there was also something so wholesome about the fact that they're older and just them talking about like how much their relationships mean to each other. You know what I mean? Like how much they all know each other so well. They still keep in touch, most of them.
I think that's really nice. And I don't know enough to really have an opinion on this, quite frankly. And I do like the idea of it. But I will say that as far as I'm aware, a lot of them had real like substance abuse problems during this time. And obviously Ryan Dunn didn't make it. Bam is obviously like still recovering from all of that. From what I understand, Johnny Knoxville has had so many concussions that he kind of just hosts Fear Factor and doesn't do much else.
Well, he's fine now. He's in the newest Jackass movie. He's still hosting it. He said, he's like, I can't put myself in a position to get more concussions is all.
Yeah.
He is fine. He's cognitively fine in every test you see him, in every interview you see him doing.
Yeah, yeah.
Which Steve-O, I saw him talk about in an interview. He was like, I'm always excited to talk to Knoxville, but every time I talk to Knoxville and my dad, who is, at the time he said it, he was like, my dad, who's 78 years old, I'm always worried. These are like the 2 most positive male role models in my life. Are they losing it? Are they losing their cognitive abilities? And he said, every time I talk to you, you seem to be doing great. And it makes me happy to hear you and my dad.
Okay. I mean, Steve-O is like a vegan now, right? And
Steve-O, I'm going to talk about it more when we get to the facts, but Steve-O is sober. He hosts a podcast. He does a lot of animal rights stuff. He does a lot. I think he wanted to open up an animal sanctuary at one point. I think he's still trying to do that, but he kind of is always working. He kind of has done very well for himself. Like, I think I would have been shocked because they made a documentary at one point called Steve-O Rise and Demise. And I think this was after, I know they did like a Jackass 24-hour takeover on MTV where he was clearly messed up the whole time. And I'm watching this as a kid being like, that guy's not okay. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, like, not that I was ever a kid who was interested in doing drugs, really, but I remember watching Steve-O Rise and Demise and being like, holy shit, like, this guy's not okay. And it was him. He recorded himself constantly because everything was for content, but he owned like 3 or 4 apartments all next to each other in this one building, but he just kept taking them over. But there were other people on this floor too. And he was like punching holes in walls and he was screaming and he was doing nitrous. Like, he's huffing gases and shit. And I think after I watched that, I was like, Steve-O's not going to be around forever. And if you had told me that Steve-O would arguably be doing just as well, if not better than anybody, and would be sober, I would have been astonished. And I think it's really nice for me to see every time I do watch Steve-O's Wild Ride, which is the name of his podcast, and he's doing fine, and like he's talking to, you know, pretty big guests. I just think it's also a cool story to see these fucking idiots who are still willing to be fucking idiots. Like he'll do like a stand-up special, but he does skits in his stand-up special too, where he'll be doing something stupid in addition just to telling jokes. They've kept the ability to be immaturely stupid, but have also all seemingly matured pretty well.
Yeah. I'll say this, as somebody who really appreciates girlhood, like I love Taylor Swift. I love like the friendship bracelet Eras Tour thing. I love like I get it. And I have a real soft spot for boyhood as well. Like I love Corey and Frank's relationship, right? I love your relationship with Zach. I love, and I think in part, in fairness, growing up, the three of us, I very much remember being taught as a little girl, like, if you want to hang out with the boys, you have to not be such a little fucking girl, and like we had much fun
pillow
getting
fights,
into
and by
trouble.
pillow fights, I remember it was just fists behind pillows that we were punching into each other.
We were just punching each other in the face with pillows as an excuse to not get in trouble. Like I definitely partook in this, and we don't have to go into detail about this, but I do think that it made me a better person, because I do feel like I have a really good understanding. I mean, my dad has two brothers, right? Like I just grew up around a bunch of dudes. And so it doesn't bother or offend me. I'm not sensitive to this. And I do like the idea of men that are what I think you're describing as not problematic. Although, like I said, I don't know enough to know if I fully agree with that, but I'm going to take your word for it and say that they're not problematic, or at least they're not anymore. And say, sure, I think it's nice. Now, do you have more skits that you want to bring up? Because there's an elephant in the room that I'd like to address.
If it's the one I think it is, I want to save that for last because it's the best one.
Okay.
If we're thinking of the same one.
We're not, but okay.
We're not? I'm thinking of one towards the very end of the film.
I'm not thinking of a skit. I'm thinking of something I want to talk about.
Okay. Go ahead then.
No. Finish your list.
Okay. Let's see. Where was I? The Puppet Show, which is the opening. Did any of these make you laugh is what I'm wondering now too. You know what's a good one? The Valentine, them all reading as the font gets smaller and smaller to get punched in the face.
Yeah. That was when I started to realize, like, oh, this is not, like, they're not all in on the joke. You know what I mean? Like
they're often pranking each other. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the first time that clicked. And that was kind of funny.
Which I love so much. You have to, like, they all will pick on something if they know you're afraid of it. So I know Preston Lacey talked about, I'm afraid of heights. I hid that very successfully for like 4 years until they found out. And in the credits, you can see a thing where he's pretending to be King Kong on top of a fucking porta potty. And he like had to take Valium to do it, because at first he was like, ah. So Bam Margera is afraid of snakes. And I think about it all the time when he's getting blown back by this giant fan, and then they lock him in and put a snake in there, and he has himself elbows up all the way like against the ceiling of this like RV type thing that he's in, almost, I would call it. And the way they go, Bam, are you crying? And he just goes, yeah. I find it fucking adorable. Every time I see it, like, it gets a giggle out of me, him go, yeah. And they all do it to each other, so it's kind of like everybody has to be okay with it because we're all fucking with each other.
Yeah.
The other thing I think of is Johnny Knoxville on the director with the talcum powder in his ass so that he can fart in his face, and he goes, did it go poof? You know what I mean? I just see you shake your head, and I'm like, yes, I bring you the king of boy humor.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that you did not like the yak charge, Bam's drop in. What did you think of the opening, the running of the bulls?
Okay, so this is what I want to talk about. As that started, I looked at Corey and I was like, is this is this like rehearsed? Is this a set? Like, is this fake? Like, I don't understand. And he explained to me that it's obviously a set because that's not real
It's a
glass
closed
and
street,
whatever.
but yes.
Right. But like that it's real. They're really running away from these bulls because they're really zoomed in on these extreme faces that they're making. So I'm like, I don't understand. Is this shot like, okay, we're going to do the reaction shots and then we'll actually do the real thing, like whatever. And Dylan, you know that I am down for some fun. Okay? I'm not a stick in the mud person. I don't have a stick up my ass about things. I get a lot of heat on this podcast for kind of being the opposite, you know? Um I had a moment where I was like, what they're doing with these animals is really not fucking cool. And I had to explain to Corey that bulls don't just attack people, they have to be provoked. And in the scene with the puppet show, they're provoking that snake. And in the scene with the bees, like there's just so many things that are happening where I'm like the thing with the ram and the was that where they were on like the seesaw thing?
The Toro Totter. I
The
believe
Toro
it's
Totter.
I know, I think that's just a bull too. It's a bull or a yak.
There is these are animals that are being pissed off intentionally in order to attack people. And I was like, this is just something about this is just not sitting right with me. And I said to him, and he's like, well, there's animal handlers. And I'm like, okay, that would be like you taking Sally and pissing her off so that she would go attack someone. It's not fair to her. It's not her choice. Like, that's not cool, even if you're responsible for her, you're her caretaker. And they did it with snakes and they did it with all these different animals. And so I Googled, like, is the animal use on Jackass ethical? And wouldn't you know it? No, it's not. And I'm not the first person to look at that and say, oh, this is not cool.
Here's what I would say. So they did a whole show, Wild Boys, which was Steve-O and Chris Pontius' show, where every week it was them traveling all over the world, usually interacting with animals.
Mhm.
And I know Steve-O has said since then, he's like, a lot of what we do with animals, I regret. It wasn't smart. We shouldn't have been doing it. I think the bull stuff, I really don't think is a big deal. They do. Do I think it is the nicest thing in the world? No. I think the running of the bulls is literally a very famous thing that's done on an annual basis. I think much worse is they have actual bull fights where matadors are murdering bulls in rings. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, and I want to make it clear, I don't care for that either. Like this, I'm not picking and choosing my animal activism here. Like I
Yes.
generally disagree with all that. I don't think horse racing is cool. I don't think fucking any of it is cool.
I generally get what you're saying. I don't think that like a lot of what we see in this movie is cruelly done. You know what I mean? I guess I get what you're saying, shaking up the bees so that they go in the limo and are stinging them, which I did get. I laugh at it. I get you saying that it's probably a little uncool for the bees. I guess.
Well,
yes.
what happens when a bee stings somebody, Dylan?
The bee dies.
I mean, you're making them angry. I don't know. Like, and I really genuinely am not like I didn't go into this thinking I want to dislike this. I didn't go in thinking I'm going to find something to be mad about. I'm not that type of person. I'm generally not like super PC. Like I love humor, I love comedy. I think that you can push the limits with comedy. I really really do. But this one just really bothered me and I think that you know when the more I looked into it, and the more I saw Steve-O being like, it wasn't cool, we shouldn't have done it, and like all this stuff, I'm like,
Also, you saw the stuff with Steve-O saying that too. Okay.
yeah. And I saw like all of the PETA stuff, and obviously PETA can take it a little far, and I recognize that, but like there were a lot of like animal groups that were like, they have to stop doing this. And it made me like at one point, Corey's like, look, that's the snake guy, and it's like some guy with his shirt off, and I'm like, this guy looks like he's also
To
a
be fair,
drunk.
David Weathers is a very famous snake handler. And
Fine.
I also remember seeing he's one of the few people to survive. I don't remember what snake it was. It's one of the deadliest snakes in the world. I remember seeing a thing on him on Discovery Channel back in the day or something like that, where he talked about he got bit by one of the most venomous snakes and he had like a scar that it was something where it was like the venom literally like acid starts to dissolve your skin type of thing.
Jesus Christ.
So he's obviously very experienced with snakes. I know the
But
only thing that they did with the snake in the very beginning of the puppet show was that they used a blow dryer on Pontius's penis because it's attracted to heat.
yeah. I mean, listen, I
But
think
I get what
even
you're saying. I can't disagree with any of what you're saying.
yeah, it
I
just
mean,
made me uncomfortable.
I can't dissuade you of any of what you're saying because I don't disagree with it, is what I mean.
Yeah. I just it dampened the humor for me a little bit, and I feel like there are just so many different ways that you can hurt each other. Like let me tell you one thing that I thought was like I didn't laugh at it, but I was like, "Oh my God," when they put his balls on the ice rocking horse
Yeah.
and then kicked him off of it. Like to
Is,
me,
is that what
fuck
Knoxville says? There's poop, hair, and more poop.
yeah. Like, fuck with each other, hurt each other, kick each other in the nuts. But to make an animal intentionally angry and potentially risk it, I don't know. I know how this sounds, and I'm so sorry, and I don't want to be that person. But like, I don't know. It really bothered me. Like I've been thinking about it.
I think the interesting thing is, as I'll think about the more recent movie, like Jackass Forever, like I said, because they waited, I think, 4 years after 3D comes out, and then it was 10 years after 3D Forever comes out. I think there's almost no animal stuff in Jackass Forever. I think there is one stunt with a bull where it is, brief. It's Knoxville getting knocked the fuck out. There is one thing with a snake, but it's brief both times. And I think maybe that is as things have evolved in that sense. All right. So as I continue to go through some of these, I'll go through only non-animal ones. I'll take the animal ones off the table. The cat's out of the bag.
Okay, thank you.
Only after they jostled and riled up that cat in the bag.
Yeah, exactly.
Let me talk about one of my favorites, the electric stool. So with the card thrower, who they're going to have Wee Man get up on the stool, and they think he's getting this professional card thrower at him, and it's actually just that there is an electric shock through the stool. I feel like you're going to tell me that didn't make you laugh at all. And you know what? One of my favorite quotes in any of these is Wee Man going, he has hopped on the stool multiple times and gotten shocked multiple times. And he keeps looking back at like the card thrower. He's like, it's hitting me right at the bottom of my ass. And he goes, there's a machine in here. There's a card throwing machine. And them all fucking dying going, he thinks it's a card machine. And I'm trying to remember, Steve goes, Wee Man, I would never use a card throwing machine on you. Like, it is so dumb funny to me.
Yeah.
They get a lot of their ideas, I remember them saying, from stuff like fucking Looney Tunes and Tom and Jerry. Knoxville said he was like, me doing the big rocket. I think I just saw that on like Wiley E. Coyote or something like that.
Yeah.
What was I going to say?
I did think it was crazy that red rocket, like, if that wire had come out, it could have killed him.
He's talked multiple times about the closest he's ever come to dying in any of these. If that thing goes 2 feet to the right instead of where it was, it goes through him. And he said he went, you can't see it, but when that thing shoots out, it goes like 70 feet and went right between the heads of a camera operator and a sound guy. And if it was a little bit more one direction or the other, it could have killed one of them too.
It's crazy.
Obviously, they all know the risks that they're taking. I think the crazy thing is they've talked about when they did Jackass the show, Steve-O, I know, talks about for a really dangerous stunt, you would get $500 a stunt. And for like an easy thing, you would get like $200, which to me is insane because they did stuff on the show that while they couldn't show everything they did here, they still did stuff that was insane. And I'm like, he got $500 for that. And he goes, I'm trying to remember what it was. He talked about there was one day where he was like, I didn't even have enough money for food. He goes, which is because I was basically, every time I made money, was giving it to my Coke dealer. But he said something about, there was one day where we were all at McDonald's and I asked the show, can you guys buy me McDonald's? And they went, you didn't get any footage today. And I'm like, oh my God. That's the coldest blooded thing I've ever heard.
Wow. Corey has mentioned to me before that the guys from Jackass often talk about a time when they were like really famous, but really broke. And that it was like, it's like such a lethal combination that everywhere you go, everyone knows who you are, but you can't buy yourself lunch.
In Jackass Forever, they introduced a couple new people. Rachel Wolfson, Jasper Dolphin, Poopies, and Zach Holmes, I think, were the 4 new cast members. And Poopies, like, guy was really funny. I remember there's one skit he does that cracks me up. He's standing on a ladder. he hits the ladder out with a sledgehammer, and he introduces, he goes, "My name is Poopies, and I'll show me." And the whole skit is just him sledgehammering the ladder beneath him and just falling on his fucking face. But it's funny in the way he does it. And he was on Steve's podcast, and he was like, "My bank account is negative." Like, I was like, Jesus Christ. That's sad to hear, because this guy was in the #1 movie in America for a time, and he's having trouble affording like his rent and shit. Like, that's fucked up.
Yeah. Yeah. They take advantage, though. They really do.
Oh, and I'm sure Paramount, off the first Jackass show, I mean, they played replays of it constantly. I'm sure, MTV, Viacom, whoever, made plenty of money that I'm sure the Jackass guys would have loved to have gotten residuals or anything like that they probably never did.
Of course. It's crazy.
Another skit I like a lot of Wee Man skits in this one, because I like the swamp shoot where they hit him with the boat fan and he skips across a pond like a stone. And it's the way he gets out of the water and goes, "What? I can't hear, kind of."
That did make me laugh. I can't hear, kind of.
That got you? Okay. I also like, and it's the way they describe it in the beginning and the dramatization of Bam Margera sent a fax in of a picture of a fat guy with a bungee rope to a little guy. And it's Preston and Wee Man doing a bungee cord between them so that they can jump off of like a bridge basically in Florida. And the way that Wee Man falls, pulls Preston down, and Preston yanks him way harder on the way down. What was it that they said? Preston goes, "Did I yank you?" And Wee Man just goes, "Oh, fuck yeah." Because you just see him come so hard, he slams the water.
Yeah.
Let me see. I guess it's just, I'll mention the brand also, where Bam Margera got a dick branded on his butt, which turned into a dick farm with like 6 dicks.
Dylan, I had the same reaction that his mother had. I was like, what the fuck? That is going to be so infected. He's not going to be able to sit down. Like, you can't do that to a human. And then, of course, you know me, I'm like, how do we do that to these animals? And like, we think it's okay. Like, it's fucked up. But that is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. Like, what the fuck? It wasn't. Here's the thing. If it was fucking hilarious, okay. It's not even that funny. The amount of pain and like risk that he incurred for that gag was not, it was a raw deal.
You got to realize they do so much stuff. I'm not sure if you watched the credits. There's so much stuff in the credits that they filmed all of these things that just never even make the movie. And I'm like, think about how much shit you go through. I'll talk about something Steve-O did later. They showed in the credits for 30 seconds, not even for 5 seconds, him in like a bellhop outfit, getting pushed down the stairs on a bellhop cart and eating shit. And he says it's one of the worst injuries he ever had. He like fractured a vertebrae. He had soft tissue damage in his back, and it didn't really make the movie even. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, these are people who are clearly willing to risk it for the footage, for the entertainment,
for the biscuit.
Yes. And I do love in that brand, him going, Bam Margera is getting fucking branded. And do you remember what he says? "Press it hard, you idiot."
Yeah. That Steve-O one, is that the one where he said, "Don't worry, my face broke my fall, so it didn't hurt my body," or some shit?
No, that's Johnny Knoxville on the bike with the giant wheel.
Oh, yes.
Which I love that. And I love Knoxville after the riot control test going, "Is this good?" and pointing to his face. And he goes, "Then work fine."
Yeah. Yeah.
He's a charismatic motherfucker. Like, they're dumb as hell. But goddamn.
Yeah.
Okay. So, you know what? I think it's just time that we get to what to me is far and away the best sketch of this movie. And I think it's aged poorly slightly, but I think the prank on prank is one of my favorites of all time. The Terror Taxi with Aaron McGahey, who is convinced to do what would be a very basic, pretty stupid prank, where he is going to dress up in as a fake terrorist with dynamite strapped to him and do a very bad accent in this taxi on the way to the airport. Him and the guy who was actually the director of photography, Dimitri, I will try and pronounce his last name later. and him saying like with an accent, boom, "Oh, I don't like America," you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Trying to get a razz out of the taxi driver by talking about his wife, you know what I mean? Saying how much he likes breasts, what's your wife's breast size? But what makes it so good is that is not what is the real genesis of this. The taxi is a plant. The taxi driver is actually a famous director and actor, Jay Chandrasekhar. The whole crew is going to be following. And the pièce de résistance, Aaron's fake beard, is not just spirit gummed on fake hair, it is shaved pubes from every member of the cast. Which I could see you shaking your head already. You're going to tell me there's not one moment of this that makes you laugh? Because just for the sheer prank on a prank, it is brilliantly executed. No?
I think honestly, Dill, like so much of this was taken and rebranded as Impractical Jokers. And I think Impractical Jokers is so much funnier because it's less like really aimed at the teenage boy demographic and a little
Mhm.
bit more like widely like funny for everyone. And so to take like, and this is no fault of the movie, right? But for me to take something that I already really like and kind of be like, and now watch it gross and just for boys, kind of was like, nah, no, I don't know. I like the other one better. Like this isn't to me as funny. I do think it aged really poorly. That doesn't usually bother me. Like I don't care. I can separate, that it was 2006 and whatever. And I just feel like the prank within a prank, like yeah, I get it. I've seen it a million times in a way that I think is funnier. And the pube thing, I don't know. It's like, I'll tell you what. You know what else I don't think is really all that funny?
What?
Guys kicking each other in the balls. Maybe that's just an experience thing. I don't know
I
what
will
that's
say,
like.
is this funnier as a teenager? Probably. But I still, maybe it's partly nostalgia. But them setting him up and him going, "I feel like I'm eating pubes," still makes me fucking laugh. Them, the reveal when he's getting out of the trunk and they're revealing that he's been pranked the whole time. And he looks at Jay Chandrasekhar and goes, "Are you an actor or something?" Every time he goes, "Come on, I fucking die." I think it's so fucking funny, him revealing, like, of course I'm in on this whole thing. He was smacking him around. He points a fake gun at him and makes him think he's going to die. Like, and then when they're revealing the final part of it to him with the pubes, him going, "We got a text from Derek who brought crabs to the party." Like, it just goes so much further than it needs to. Like, obviously, I get what you're saying. Impractical Jokers does really funny skits. They do some really funny stuff. Like, this feels like if the Impractical Jokers had to do a punishment while high on crack.
Yeah.
And there's an aspect to which I have to respect and celebrate the craziness that they were willing to go to, and that they still go to now that they're all sober and adults and have kids and like functioning lives, that they're still like, yeah, no, I'm going to still do some crazy shit now. And I don't know. There's also at one point Aaron goes, "It's in my mouth." And I don't remember who says it, but somebody goes, "Why'd you put him in your mouth?" About the pins. I don't know. I think it's great. I think Aaron McGahey, to me, is the most underrated member of Jackass because he's willing to do crazy shit and he's like the least known name, him and Dave England. I think it's incredibly stupid, but like I said, there is such a brotherhoodness to it of, yes, this is exactly what young boys are like. This is so stupid fun.
So, here's a question. Why, when he was drinking the horse semen, which as you can imagine, I didn't think was funny, did they censor it?
So I will just say, I do crack up when Pontius goes, "That's semen, all right." But they had to censor it because that alone was the difference between this movie being NC-17 or R-rated, because it was considered a pornographic act.
Oh, interesting. Okay, that's I guess that makes sense.
So that had to be censored.
Yeah, I don't care for that, but okay.
That is fair. I will say, of all the animal stuff in this movie, that is the least harmful to the animal. That one for sure.
Yeah, and I
Where
know
the animal
that's
just
like,
got to come fucking a fake horse vagina.
yeah, and I also think that that's like how they do that. Like I think that's like a real
Yes.
thing that they do. But I didn't care for. I don't know.
It
I'm
does
gonna get
feel
a
like
lot of.
sometimes I imagine that they showed up on set. They were like, we can get a horse wrangler guy that we can go out and go to his ranch. And it was like, do you have an idea for what to do there? And they're like, we'll figure it out on the day. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I do just love though Pontius going, this will get me out of something bad later. Like,
Yeah.
I hope he used that to get out of something bad.
I think like this is what I'm talking about though. This idea of like, if I do this, I don't have to do something bad later. Like, all of that is exactly what Impractical Jokers took.
Yeah.
Can
you at least respect that this had influence on something you do love?
100%. Listen,
Okay.
I'm not suggesting that like it's not a cultural phenomenon and that like people didn't love it and that it wasn't, still something that like has an audience today. I'm just telling you that my experience of it was pretty fucking dampened by the fact that I was like, I don't think this is cool. And then I did a quick Google search and I was like, oh no, this is definitely not cool.
Maybe we'll see Jackass Best and Last together.
I'm a little busy.
Okay. Gab, should I get us some facts?
Please, because I'm hungry and I'm over this.
I want the truth.
Face the facts, ducks.
Facts have no place with an organized religion.
So on the Rotten Tomatoes tomato meter, it has a 66% with 67 fresh reviews and 34 rotten with an average rating of 6 out of 10. An audience score of 80% with an average score of 4 out of 5. IMDb, it has a 7 out of 10. It was released September 22nd, 2006 with a budget of $11.5 million and it grossed $84.6 million.
Oh, wow.
It opened in first. Also in theaters, you could have seen Little Miss Sunshine, Fly Boys, Gridiron Gang, Crank, and Talladega Nights, The Ballad of Ricky Bobby. The critics' consensus? Better than any sequel to a movie of a television show has a right to be, Jackass number 2 dares you not to laugh. Roger Ebert did not review it, so I don't have one from that. But
damn it.
Richard Roper of Ebert and Roper said, just like The Lord of the Rings, I can't wait for the third part of this trilogy.
Oh.
Gene Seymour from Newsday, one must admit, however grudgingly, that there's a kind of warped integrity in their compulsion to keep topping each wretched stunt, sometimes within the same stunt. Jessica Reeves from the Chicago Tribune, I don't know what to say about Jackass number 2. What is there to say? After all, about a 95-minute foray into feces, intestinal gas, horse semen, and a beer funnel inserted into a body cavity that's quite obviously not someone's mouth. Nathan Rabin from the AV Club. When seen with a rapt, rowdy audience, the film becomes a joyful celebration of the depths of human degradation.
Sure.
Letterboxd reviews?
Yes.
The first one is from Scott Interrante, who does the music for this podcast. I know, except the brown face is a pretty big caveat to include, but really, this is a perfect film, except the brown face. Parentheses. This is a word-for-word copy of my West Side Story 1961 review.
That is fucking hilarious. Love you, Scott.
Victor, who said, Spike Jonze, the Oscar-winning writer of Her, plays a naked grandma in this film.
Yeah, that we didn't really go over, but like that was kind of shocking to me. I was like, Spike Jonze, like the regular director that we all know and love.
Oh yeah, him, Jeff Tremaine, and Johnny Knoxville are really the Hydra head of this whole thing. Like they are the final guys when they edit this who are like, what should stay, what should go type of thing.
Interesting.
San said, Spike Jonze and John Waters, Criterion, you know what to do. And the last one from Lee, that was intense, really intense. Well, not really intense, but pretty intense.
That, I think, was my favorite line from the whole thing.
Pontius, I think that's after the bungee jump, right?
Yeah.
The movie's directed by Jeff Tremaine, who also directed the documentaries Angry Sky and The Birth of Big Air, as well as Wild Boys, Jackass the Movie, Jackass 3D, Jackass Forever, and the upcoming Jackass Best and Last. The movie was shot by Rick Kosick, Lance Bangs, Trip Taylor, and Dmitry Elyashkovich. There's no screenwriter, so I'll say the concepts are by and starring Johnny Knoxville, who you may know from The Ringer, Men in Black 2, and The Dukes of Hazzard, Jeff Tremaine, Bam Margera, who you might know from People of Bam, Steve-O, who you may know from Wild Boys and Steve-O's Wild Ride, Chris Pontius, who you may know from Wild Boys, Ryan Dunn, who you might know from Viva La Bam, Jason Wee Man Acuna, Preston Lacey, Dave England, Danger Aaron McGahee, and also starring Spike Jonze, the director of her adaptation in Being John Malkovich, Brandon DiCamillo.
Adaptation?
Mm-hmm.
That's the second time we've talked about adaptation
That's
recently.
like the second or third time. We've talked about it a lot lately, I feel like.
Yeah, we need to do it.
Phil and April Margera, Matt Hoffman, Tony Hawk, Brandon Novak, Manny Puig, 3-6 Mafia, Luke Wilson, Mike Judge, John Waters, Rip Taylor, and Jay Chandra Sekhar, who you may know from Beer Fest and Super Troopers.
I also just want to say really quickly that when they were doing that skateboard gauntlet thing and Tony Hawk showed up, I said to Corey, Tony Hawk is not going to do this. And he goes, yeah, he does it. And then the whole thing goes by, Tony Hawk doesn't do it. And I said, Tony Hawk's fucking agent would never allow him to do this.
I think Tony Hawk is like, I've broken every bone in my body for actual competition. I'm not going to do it for this.
Yeah. He was like, no, sir.
Yeah, but Tony Hawk shows up, I think, in like each one of these things, I feel like. And Jackass Forever,
Tony Hawk
he cracks
is
me
a
up.
fucking delight.
Who doesn't like Tony Hawk, man? Guy's great.
He's great.
Ready for some fun facts?
Yeah.
Wee Man says the swamp shoot might be the most dangerous thing he's ever done. He did it multiple times and was worried the rope might get tangled up and he might drown.
Great.
Sivo says this is the best Jackass since it's the gnarliest and people were most, quote, ready to die.
Awesome.
They filmed 2 weeks on and 2 weeks off for 8 or 9 months and had to have an intervention where Johnny Knoxville and they had to tell him to stop shooting and he negotiated 2 more weeks of shooting.
Oh my God.
Which he's like, by the end, I just didn't want to stop. So I was just doing stuff like stop here. And I would run into a street side and be like, did we shoot it?
Oh my God.
So CGI is used in very few parts of this movie, specifically to remove Don Vito, who at the time was going through some major court struggles because he was accused of, I don't remember where it all went. So I don't want to say anything wrongly, but I think he had an underage interaction with a young lady.
Oh,
I don't know I think it might not have turned out to be something that big. It might have. I don't remember. Here's what I have here. All scenes featuring Vincent Margera were cut from the film due to his arrest for sexual assault 1 month before the film's release. On the Drilled with Dr. Is this right? Dr. Brady? Maybe it was Dr. Drew. I don't know. Steve-O mentioned that Vito was digitally removed from all shots where he appeared in the background. Vito was in at least 2 stunts that were completely removed, which were the original Lamborghini tooth pull, which they did in Jackass 3 with Aaron McGahee, and the Human Newton's cradle. He also appeared in the background when Ryan Dunn got launched into the garage door in the shopping cart. Bam's butt did in fact get infected after the brand. With the anaconda corral in the ball pit, Knoxville was worried about his wrist being bit, so he put electrical tape on his wrist to feel safer about not getting his artery bit by the anaconda. He said every time, he's like, I know that didn't actually protect me more. It just made me feel more safe.
Ugh.
On Ebert and Roper, Fred Willard reviewed the movie with Richard Roper, and they gave it 2 thumbs up, with Roper saying it was a madness you just don't see in almost any other walk of life.
Really quickly, Fred Willard should have been on our Mount Rushmore of character actors.
He's very worthy of a spot. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Chris Pontius was on Steve-O's Wild Ride and said of the Jackass guys, we single-handedly rid the world of homophobia. I mean, they were joking and laughing, but hey, you know.
Yeah, there was full frontal male nudity in this.
Lots of it. There's lots of dicks in all the Jackass stuff. And you know what? You just got to get past it. If you're going to laugh at these, you have to accept them. I was watching it and the person I'm watching it with is always like, they always show women naked in movies. And I went, this is what you wanted. Look at all these dicks.
Yep. Men, baby.
Preston Lacey has said his favorite bit he's in of all time is the bungee jump with Wee Man attached to him. Steve-O promised the Jackass crew that he would not do drugs during the production of this movie. He stayed sober during the whole film and even a little after the movie's release, but eventually relapsed. He would break his drug addiction again on March 10th, 2008, and has been sober ever since.
Crack, right? That was his drug of choice?
It was a lot of drugs, every kind of drug. He did cocaine. He used to talk about he would swallow condoms full of drugs like weed onto planes so that he could sneak into other countries with drugs. He did huffing gases. He did a lot of bad shit. He's lucky to be fine. Johnny Knoxville was knocked unconscious 4 times while filming the movie.
Great.
I told you about the thing with Chris Pontius and the censorship. The Firehouse Rodeo stunt which we didn't even talk about, but I think that's crazy how long Dave England hangs on to that fire hose.
Oh, yeah.
Was meant to involve more of the Jackass cast, but it was decided to just leave Dave England the only participant as they thought the footage was funny enough with him getting hurt in the end, which I do crack up at his ow! Like the length of time that he is screaming for going, my ass. Originally, after Jackass the movie, there was not going to be any more Jackass projects, and Jeff Tremaine was going to work on other stuff. When Knoxville kept guest starring on Wild Boys, Tremaine went up to him and asked if he just wanted to make another Jackass movie, he was going to go this hard for basic cable. Scenes that were filmed but never shown include Don Vito getting his tooth pulled by Bam Margera's Lamborghini, Vito, Bam, Phil, Preston, and Brandon being the spheres for a life-size Newton's cradle, Vito getting a meatball slingshotted in his face by Bam, a SWAT team waking Johnny Knoxville up by blowing his motel room door off its hinges, Wee Man being dressed up as a baby and put inside a box in an attempt to be shipped through the mail, Steve-O riding a unicycle above hot coals, Bam having a lot of balloons tied to him. He then shoots the balloons with a pellet gun to slowly descend into the lake below him. And Bam, Steve-O, Ryan Dunn, Chris Pontius, and Dave England attempting to light a fart underwater, which they would eventually complete in Jackass Forever. In the final sketch where everyone plays a prank on Danger Aaron, the terror taxi, Jay Chandrasekhar plays the taxi driver. At the end, Aaron asks, what are you, an actor or some shit? With Jay replying, come on. Chandrasekhar directed the 2005 Dukes of Hazzard remake starring Johnny Knoxville as Luke Duke. Gab, that is all the fun facts I have for you. Okay, so Gab, should we get to the mail?
Yeah, let's do it.
Mail time! When you control the mail, you control information.
Mom asked me to ask you if there's any mail for us here by mistake.
What?
Let's start with, we got a couple comments. This one is from Legacy Odinson. This was on Big Fat Liar.
Hi, Legacy.
This movie lives rent-free within the trauma-repressed catacombs of my mind. This part feels more for Corey. Also, Absolute Martian Manhunter is the best title in that whole line. So,
wow.
Get Corey on that one. I also started reading Absolute Batman. It's taking me a very long time to read because I'm mostly functionally illiterate by this point, but it's good for the few pages I've read so far.
That's what I hear.
Then we got a comment from Scotty Cameron on Crazy Stupid Love.
Scotty.
I watched this movie with my mother just over a year ago because she wanted to see it. She had seen the scene of Jacob, Cal, David, and Bernie fighting on social media, but never the entire film. So she wanted to see the scene context, which I feel like a lot of movies are just getting spread out that way now, that they'll put like the most exciting scene in the movie on social media, and you'll be like, I gotta check out this whole movie. And a lot of the time, though, that sets you up for bullshit movies.
I hate that. I hate when you're like, oh my God, and there's this really good scene, and then that ends up being the only good scene, and you're like, oh, and I knew the whole thing the whole time.
Absolutely. She was very disappointed by the final product. I didn't particularly care for it either. We were both underwhelmed by the film. We thought everything with Cal and Jacob was funny, but the babysitter subplot was awful. I showed her Drive after, which she liked more. Not similar movies at all by any means, Scotty.
No. The Venn diagram on that has a thin overlap.
And that overlap is Ryan Gosling.
Yes.
Yeah. That is all the comments we have, but I do have some mail from the Great White North from a Canadian correspondent, Kyle.
Let's hear it.
At first, when I heard that you guys were going to be covering a Jackass, I thought it only made sense to do so if you grew up with those films, because it's just the idiocy of the time. But then I realized I'm old, and Generation Z, or Z for my fellow Canadians, is doing things that are just as stupid, if not even more so, like eating Tide Pods, which inspired my question for the two of you. Was there something from our youth that you remember doing, and now you look back particularly and go, wow, that was incredibly dumb? As an example, lighting your arm on fire with the use of Axe body spray. I'm very curious on if this makes the list or not. Keep doing what you're doing, guys. Goodbye.
I had a couple come to mind, but I feel like you're amped and ready, so go.
I had a vision this morning that I was going to get to talk about this on the podcast. Please don't ask me why, but I thought to myself, remember that time you put the key in the electric socket?
That was the first thing I thought of. Yeah. Now, to be fair, this wasn't like I was like 18 and was like, this is crazy. No, I was a little kid and I was like,
you were a child.
Surely I can turn the key in this electrical socket. And I came out like with my hair straight up, like the poster for Eraserhead. And like, I was just like,
you were fried. Like, no wonder you can't read.
No wonder I don't remember my childhood. Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing I thought of is, I don't know, it's definitely more of a boy thing. Like, girls don't do these types of crazy shenanigans as much. I remember me and my friends for a while got into using nail polish remover to light things on fire. And the one I remember is going down a slide while it was on fire. Not smart. Everyone was okay. But yeah, we did that.
That's the dope. I'm actually surprised that you don't strike me as, even as a kid, like the type who would do that.
I watched it. I didn't participate.
Okay.
I usually use like taking photos. Like, I remember I had a good photo of my friend being slightly engulfed in flames on a park bench.
That is insane. Okay, cool. Well, yeah, that's definitely a boy thing.
So do you have any crazy thing, or was it just my bullshit?
I mean, I'll tell you what. One time my friend and I went down to Chinatown to shop for like knockoff designer bags. We were in high school, and this lady was like, "Get in the van and we'll take you to the good stuff." And we got in the van. So
that's more stupid. That's not very Jackass, though. Nothing went inside of anybody, you know, nothing crazy happened.
I remember. No, we just got in the van and we went to unmarked territory and didn't buy anything.
Good for you.
Yeah.
All right. Now let's get into the unmarked van and go back to the verdicts for Jackass number 2.
Let's do it.
Do or do not. There is no try.
The guilty will be punished.
Sentence is death.
All right, Gab, I want to hear your verdict, but before I hear your verdict, I want to know other people's verdicts. So I know Corey watched this with you. Corey, to get some more male perspective, you get some more testosterone, which is what Jackass is all about. What did you think? What was your verdict on Jackass number 2?
Before I answer that question, I'm going to tell you that I have the box set on DVD of the whole series of Jackass. I have all of Viva La Bam on DVD, every season on box set. I have Haggard on DVD. I have Where the Fuck is Santa Claus on DVD. I'm a big fan.
Okay, clearly.
All I said was, you know, you kind of got to be in the mood, right? I didn't expect Gab to like it, but it's something that I love. You know, I love this shit growing up.
What did you say about the Frank stuff? Like, if it were Frank?
I said if Frank came over and we were just chilling, we'd probably put it on in the background. You know, it's like, it's, you know, you know all the gags, you know all the bits, you know every reaction, you've seen it a million times, but you could always just throw it on. Like how people like to put Friends on in the background. I'd rather put Jackass on.
You know what? Well said. When I mentioned that we were doing this, Zach was like, "Oh my God, I would love to watch that with you." Like, it is such a, trying to think of what the best term is for it. It's like, it's a very junk food movie where it's just like, oh, I can nosh on Jackass for hours. You know what I mean? And I will say, it doesn't sound like Corey's like, oh yeah, it's a mood watch where you die. The person I watched it with said, it's not a mood watch where you die. The parts that were funny were outshadowed by, how do I phrase it, the grody and honestly like disgusting stuff going on. I didn't find a lot of it funny. I got nauseous part of the way through the movie.
No, listen,
it's all valid.
Listen, I do think it's a movie to watch before you die, but it's my bias is that it came out at the perfect time for me to be in love with it. So like, I feel like you got to see them and you got to see them all at least once.
Yeah. Watching this was the most I ever heard somebody else say the word grody. I'd never heard that as like a slang term.
I never heard that before in my life.
Yeah. But apparently it means like disgusting, gross. Yeah.
Oh, I've heard that. Grody? That's like a normal thing to say.
I'm old though. Older than both of you.
Grody is an informal slang that means disgusting, dirty, or revolting, synonymous with gross and yucky.
Yeah.
So I guess I should give my verdict first because it's my movie. I love Jackass number 2. I think Terror Taxi is one of the funniest Jackass sketches ever done, if not the funniest. That and probably Silence of the Lambs and Jackass Forever. Is this a movie watch where you die? Like, would I put this up with fucking Citizen Kane? No, it's not. But it's fun. It was fun. And no matter what you say, Gab, you can't convince me it's not fun. I don't care how many animals had to die for them to make this movie. I don't mean that. If we're killing animals, I feel worse.
Wait, you think Citizen Kane is a movie? That movie sucks.
Well, now we know Corey's verdict on Citizen Kane. So that episode is ruined.
Listen, I'm not going to tell you it wasn't fun. I don't think it was fun for me. I don't think I'm the target demographic for this film. What were you gonna say?
I'll let you finish, but I did forget about something I want to ask.
I think even if there were no animals in this movie, I wouldn't have enjoyed it. I definitely felt uncomfortable with the animal antagonizing. And I'm obviously not the only one. And I think that even if that were a non-factor, I still wouldn't have thought it was that funny. I can appreciate Boyhood from afar. I just don't want to be involved in it.
Would you also call it grody?
Oh yeah.
Here's my question, Gab. If there was one stunt from this movie or one thing from this movie that you had to do, which would you pick?
Can I say putting my balls on ice since I don't have any?
No, and you're still gonna have to put something on ice in that scenario, Gab.
Okay. I think if I had to do something, I probably would have done the bee in the ball pit with the snake because I'm animals know that I'm their mother, so it would have been nice to me. It wouldn't have bit me. I would have been very kind to it.
This is not the answer I expected. I forgot you just have this master over animals, you fucking Disney princess.
Yeah, exactly. I'm Snow White. I don't know. None of them. I guess like the I can't think of any that are not horrific. I definitely wouldn't have eaten the horse shit. I can tell you that. Although, what did I say to you? I texted you the next day.
$200.
I said
I did once
I'd
eat
rather
cat
be
food for
eating the
$300.
You did.
I forgot what it was.
I don't know, but I ate something gross and I texted Corey and was like, I'd honestly rather be eating the horse shit.
There are protein bars that probably taste worse than that horse shit.
They will not be sponsoring our show.
No.
I think if I had to do one, I'd probably do the fart mask.
Oh, well, you're so accustomed to it.
I apparently it was a pastime that I forgot about that I took part in. So yeah, I guess.
Dylan and his friend used to have a sleepover and they would fart in the blanket and then wrap each other up in it.
Guys have done way worse things in sleepovers.
Thank you, Corey.
I'm not saying it's the worst thing. One time he and Zach tried to do it to me and I was like, no, I'm telling on you.
I remember once when I was in high school, we all slept at a friend's house and they were like, whoever falls asleep is getting teabagged.
Oh no, that's far. Okay.
And you love falling asleep, so I'm sure it was you.
I was talking, and I said, if anybody teabags me, I'm biting your balls off.
I was talking about
when sleeping and sleeping with your mouth open. So.
Oh God, I was talking about me, Gab, and Zach would have pillow fights as kids during our slumber parties, and they weren't like hitting each other with pillows. We were putting our fists behind pillows and just punching each other.
We were just punching each other raw in the face. But then we were like, there was a pillow.
Yeah, it was like, ha ha ha. And then you miss with a pillow and it's like, oh, yeah, I just fucked you up.
And that's why I like medicine ball dodgeball, because I feel like I would be, when I played dodgeball back when they still let you do it in school, I was a headhunter.
Yes, but it's in the pitch black dark. You didn't think about that.
Yeah, but I would be throwing the ball as hard as possible in any direction.
I actually think that's what I would do. I would do medicine ball dodgeball because, and keep in mind, like, we use medicine balls. Like, I know that sounds really dumb, but I feel like I'm so familiar with the equipment that I could like be pretty good.
I feel like you guys are thinking about it competitively though, when they're clearly not trying to like win. They're just like trying to chuck the ball around. Like they're not going for like, let me throw it straight. They're chucking it in the air and hitting the ceiling some of the time.
Yeah, it's
You're hoping you hit somebody. You got it. I would probably. I wasn't asked. I would probably do the skate up the ramp. You know when they were skating up the ramp and then jumping onto the truck with the Velcro. I would love to do that.
I just don't think I could do that. I couldn't even balance on a skateboard to do that.
Really?
I can wear a mask that somebody farts at the other end of. I know I can pull that one off, you know?
Yeah. You know what's really dangerous and you should never do? The butt chugging. Don't ever do that.
Now, I laugh every time though that he can't face his ass towards the camera. He can't figure it out. And the cameraman is dying from it, Lance. And I also fucking guffaw when they plunge his ass and it works. And the fucking beer comes running out.
Yeah, plungers work.
You know, we do have a Supreme Court justice who is known for doing this, though. So,
Brett Kavanaugh, he could have been part of Jackass, and I would have liked him way more.
Yeah. Fuck him, though. Anyway, yeah. Listen, I don't know. This wasn't made for me. You knew what you were doing when you signed up for this. I'd love to say that it was great, but I'd rather watch Impractical Jokers, and yeah, I'm not interested.
Corey, as a post-wedding thing, because I think it comes out the weekend of your wedding. Right after the wedding, you should take her to see Jackass Best and Last.
I'll be honest with you. I'm not interested in watching Jackass Best and Last. I didn't even like the last one.
You saw it and you didn't like it? I liked it a lot.
I saw it in the movie theater. I did not like it. I loved Jackass 3. Didn't like. I hate that Dunn is dead, and I hate that.
I think everyone hates that Dunn is dead.
Yeah. And
nobody's like, yes.
Yeah, I just didn't enjoy. I didn't like all the new like poopies and all that shit. I didn't like that.
Okay. You didn't like the intro of Jackass Forever where they made. I'm going to spoil it for Gab, but when they painted Pontius's dick to be a kaiju and fucking had it filled. Can you show Gab the Jackass Forever intro with the Pontosaurus dick monster?
Yeah, I remember that. No, it was like whatever. I didn't like it, and I wanted to because I loved Jackass so much growing up, but I just could. I didn't like the last one. I did not.
I'm gonna badger Gab with more stuff that she needs to watch for this.
By the way, prior to you coming over here, he was like, "Can we go see the new Jackass all together?" And I was like, "No."
Listen, if we get to hang out, that's different. Sure.
The day
I'd
before the
down.
wedding, we can all go.
No, fuck you.
Okay, me, Corey, and Zach will have a great time at Jackass Best and Last.
Yeah, have fun. We'll find something better to do.
And then we're all gonna kick Zach in the balls.
Yeah. All right, listen. I'm gonna say the things we say, and then I don't want to talk about this movie anymore. So, if you have strong opinions on this movie, you can let us know by sending us an email to moviespotbefore@gmail.com. You can find our link tree in the you can find stuff in the link tree, which is below. And it has really cool stuff. You can find our friends at the Paul of
Pods podcasting network.
At the Hall of Pods podcasting network, you can find our friends and their podcasts. You can find a link to our merch store. You can find a link to my Venmo. You can find all sorts of fun links. Please let us know if there's a movie you'd like to review. You'd like for us to review. We probably won't, but you can always try. And yeah, we want to hear your feedback. Send us a letter, carrier pigeon, voice note, some kind of claymation, whatever you're in the mood for. And yeah, that's all.
Press the subscribe button. Press it hard, you idiot.
Yeah, press it hard, you idiot.
What is that, a tattoo?
It's a brand. A hot iron for cows.